Okay, hello. Thank you for coming back. Today we kick off our new theme about agents and pitching. Okay, so we first need to talk about when should you look for an agent? Do you need an agent? We need to kind of get the basics out of the way here because this is where book writing and selling your book essentially is what you're doing after you write it. That this is where it gets a little tricky. So today I want to talk about when do you need an agent? And the answer is fairly simple, but let's just go over this. An agent is someone who is going to assist you in the process of traditionally publishing your book. So, if you are interested in self-publishing and thinking I'm just going to put it on Amazon, or there's a couple hybrid or indie publishers that you're interested in, you probably will not need an agent. Any publisher that requires an agent submission, meaning you cannot submit to them for publication purposes unless you have an agent. Anyone who requires that will tell you that up front. So you shouldn't have to feel obligated to get this if you have a specific publisher in mind. You shouldn't feel obligated to get agent representation. But if you are interested in traditionally publishing your book, then you will most likely, if not almost certainly, need an agent. We will go over what an agent does for you, what they do not do for you, the pros and cons of agents, what you need to look in one. Those videos are going to assist you in your agent search if you are interested in traditionally publishing. It is also, I would just encourage you to tune in if you are self-publishing, because it's also a very interesting perspective on what the role of an agent is when it comes to selling your book. You can kind of, if you are self-publishing, essentially you are your own agent. So you kind of want to put that hat on and say, okay, I'm representing myself out here. I'm trying to put my best foot forward as an author. I want to understand maybe what an agent might do so that I can try to emulate that as a self-published author. So just keep that in mind. But these videos are going to be most advantageous and most directed towards authors who are trying to get agent representation because they are most interested in traditionally publishing. So there's subpart 1 of the answer. Typically, you need an agent if you're traditionally publishing. What else? Well, most likely, and in memoir, I would recommend this most often. I mean, there are small exceptions to this rule, but typically I will say, do not go seek an agent until you have a finished manuscript. Agents get, just like publishers, they get tons of submissions, tons of query letters in their inboxes. They need to be able to say, okay, I'm interested in that now, not, oh, you're not done for another 6 months. With a memoir, they're going to want to see the manuscript. I don't know of very many situations that it's happened where they've purchased a memoir on the proposal itself with just a couple sample chapters. It's happened, and I'm sure someone like, Michelle Obama can roll up and get this done. But if you are fairly unknown, if you do not have a name in the writing or publishing world, if you don't have a presence in the public as much, you are going to have to provide a full manuscript for them to consider. Now, you don't submit that right away. We will talk about how to submit and all of that, but you have to have a finished manuscript. So do not start your agent search until your manuscript is finished. That doesn't mean that if you come across a name of an agency or an agent that you feel like is a good fit, or a name of a publisher that you'd like to submit to at some point, that you can't throw them on a list somewhere. But don't submit until you are ready. It is possible that if you submit too early and they reject you, they won't entertain a second request. It doesn't hurt, but just putting your best foot forward means thinking about these things strategically. So that is what we're doing here. So you are traditionally publishing, you have a finished manuscript, meaning edited, beautifully polished. This thing may or may not be what you would put out there as a self-published author, done, but it's as close as you're going to get it without knowing that the publisher is going to finish it up for you, cross the T's, dot the I's, make sure everything is looking beautiful. So finished manuscript. You also need a nonfiction book proposal and a query letter. We're going to go over the submission process within this theme. But the query letter is, and we'll talk about that as well. The query letter is what you submit first. You submit a query letter saying, hey, I wrote this amazing book, want to check it out. And you send it with your proposal, or sometimes separately. Sometimes you just send the letter and not the proposal, but it goes query letter, proposal, manuscript. So there is different levels to what an agent will want to look at. If your query letter wows them, if you can wow them in like 1 or 2 paragraphs, and then they jump into your proposal to get a deeper look, then they will want to look at your manuscript. So you have to start querying only when you have all of these pieces in place. This isn't like, I'm going to put a couple feelers out and see what I can rustle up and like have them waiting for me. Again, perhaps Michelle Obama or Oprah or some big name. I like to pick on Michelle Obama because she wrote that amazing book, Becoming, and it's just, it's been out in the world doing amazing things. But of course, she's a name that is probably worldwide. It's known worldwide. So I like to pick on her a little bit because it's an easy, famous person to point out. Famous memoirist, famous female memoirist, if you will. Anyway, the point is, be prepared. Do not start looking for agents until you are prepared. It's really not worth the effort, in my opinion, to go out and start searching around and doing all of this research and gathering of information and trying to find who's a good fit until your book is done, because in the writing process, things do shift. And during the writing process, which can be fairly lengthy, it can take months, years. You know this, you've been writing, right? It's not a short thing. I haven't met anyone who's written and finalized a book in less than a year. It's a journey. So in that time period that you're preparing your book and you're getting it ready and preparing the proposal and all of that, the agents that you may have found in an early search could be in a different agency, could be shifting their focus as well. A lot of agents tend to specialize in certain types of books, certain genres. They may be much more specific than just a genre. They may just have a very certain niche within that area that they only look at. So if they have shifted since the first time you ran across their name, your earlier research is now just no value. You're going to need to research again. Do not submit until you've done fresh research. You know what their submission guidelines are. Perhaps they've been updated. So we'll talk about all of this in the videos to come. But the bottom line is, you can search for an agent if you are wanting to traditionally publish your book, and when you are completely set with a finished manuscript, book proposal, and query letter. Okay, so let's get into more of the details. In the next few videos, we'll talk about what is the role of an agent, why would you need one, even if you're traditionally publishing, what do they do for you, and what are the benefits, the pros and cons, and can you traditionally publish without an agent? Let's talk about that, okay? So I will see you there.